All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of To the Show We Go Baseball Podcast. Today's episode, we have another left-hander, and I know that's some of Ed's favorites, but we have a left-handed pitching prospect in the Red Sox organization. We have Hayden Mullins on, and a little bit about Hayden before we jump in. He was a member of the 2022 draft class. He spent 2024 pitching for the Greenville Drive. And I always like to start these off, Hayden, on a little bit of a lighter note, a little bit of easier question for you, just kind of get things rolling. We were talking a little bit about your roommate situation, and you're down at the complex now. How is the offseason treating you so far?
It's good. A lot of hard work being had down here. We got 4 guys in this house that like to compete, weight room, velo days, all that stuff, golf course especially. But yeah, no, it's good. Good to be down here with the guys and compete a little bit. And it creates a pretty good environment. So yeah, it's a good time.
So you're from Tennessee, right?
Yep. Gallatin, Tennessee.
What part of Tennessee is that in?
It's just outside of Nashville, about 20, 25 minutes. Yeah, suburb.
Gotcha. And you went to school at Auburn, which isn't super far from there, but it's like far away enough that you're not quite home. Did you have anybody looking at you when you were in high school potentially to be drafted, or did you go straight to college and didn't even have to think about that?
Yeah, actually, I had a pretty interesting story of going through that whole process. Going into my senior year, I talked to almost all the teams, I think 29, 28, something like that. Had all the in-home meetings and everything, and then got to spring and got hurt, and that was it. Off to college.
It's nice to have that as a backup plan there at least. Yeah. Now, were you baseball exclusive, or did you play other sports growing up too?
So I played basketball growing up. I swam a little bit, but mostly baseball.
Do you have any siblings?
I have an older sister.
Is she an athlete also?
Not at all. And she'll hate that I'm saying that. She cheered a little bit. She played some like high school volleyball, but yeah, that's about it. Nothing collegiate, nothing like that.
How about your folks? Did your mom and dad, do they play any sports, anything like that?
So my dad played football, high school and college. He kicked at Tennessee Tech and Kentucky, I think, for a year. And then my mom, no sports. So yeah, first one in professional sports in my family.
That's really cool. What do they do for work?
My mom owns her own business, and then my dad's a pharmaceutical sales rep.
Oh, cool. What kind of business does your mom own?
Just a little boutique.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sells all that girly type stuff.
How's I guess how do they feel about you being a professional athlete?
Oh, they love it. They're my biggest fans. No, it's awesome. They whenever I got drafted, because I grew up following the Red Sox and the Braves, those were the 2 teams.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, whenever I got drafted, they're like, you always wanted to be in professional baseball. You got what you asked for. Now it's time to go to work.
What did you study when you were at Auburn?
Business analytics. Yeah, it was not the ideal setup. I probably should have gone administration or something like that. I am not a coder. I don't know much about tech, so I'm glad I got out of there in 3.
So was Auburn your first choice for colleges?
Yep. So I looked at my top 3 were Tennessee, Vandy, and Auburn. And Auburn was actually the first school to recruit me. So I had the offer, I think, for about a year. And after all the recruiting process was over and it was dying down, I sat down, looked at my options, and loved everything about Auburn.
At what point did it become apparent you were probably going to get drafted? Because I know you had some injuries that you were dealing with. So I'm sure that wasn't necessarily going to be a slam dunk. But going into the day that you got drafted, where was your head at?
Yeah, so for most of the season, I was trending upward, throwing well, got a couple spot starts, and then moved into the rotation towards the middle of the year. And I think April 29th, it was our weekend series against Tennessee. I tore my UCL. And from then on, I was like, man, I don't know if I'm going to have a chance, but I wouldn't be able to pitch the next year for Auburn. So I kind of took my chance and took whatever I could get in the draft.
And so you said that you grew up a Red Sox fan. What was that? First of all, how did you end up a Red Sox fan in Tennessee?
So the two guys that got me into baseball, my buddies that grew up down the street, Matthew and Andrew Doris, they huge baseball fans, split family. One half was Cubs, one half was Red Sox, and I just favored the Red Sox a little bit more. Watching Pedroia, JD Drew, all those guys. I mean, it was awesome. So they got me into baseball, and that's what kept it going. I just started following the Red Sox.
So was 2007 like the season that really
Oh
got you
yeah,
into it?
early 2000s baseball was prime time. I loved watching Saturdays, Sundays, whenever I'd get home from school on Fridays, just watch.
Yeah, those were some really, really special teams that hopefully we get to see a little bit more like that in the near future. But you, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, no. How did it feel to get drafted by the Red Sox, though, of all teams? Did you know that they had interest?
Yes. So on the third day, I think they were one of the first teams I talked to. I got on a Zoom with who's now our head of training down here, Joel Harris. Got on a Zoom with him and a couple of the pitching coordinators, and I was in the elbow brace, just sitting there, all propped up, trying to be as comfortable as possible. And they're going through all these draft questions, and I went through it, and I thought it went well. And then I think two and a half days later, got the call.
What's that like for you? Like just when you know for certain you have been drafted, this injury, you are going to be able to recover with a professional organization that's going to be able to, rehab you, probably make you come back even stronger. Like what's your thought process through all of this?
I think whenever anybody gets Tommy John, the first thought is like, oh, not going to be able to throw for 12 months, not going to be do this, whatever it is. And my first thought after getting drafted was I get to work with the best in the world at what they do. And whether it's Kevin Avila, Joel Harris, or any of the trainers or strength coaches down here, they all put in all the work for us. I mean, they do everything for us.
It seems like when we talk to people that have had Tommy John, it's one of two things. It's either I heard a pop, it hurt, and I knew I was injured, or well, it started bothering me, and I just kept trying to pitch through it. And 3 months later, I got an MRI, and it turned out that the elbow was the ligament there was torn. What was the injury like for you? Like which one of those?
Yeah, so I actually partially tore it first. I came out of that Friday game in the second inning, just felt like everything in my forearm and arm really just tightened up and couldn't squeeze my hand and all of that stuff. So went through that, and then tried to rehab it, tried to come back, and popped it in a bullpen.
So it's just kind of like it was just kind of like this isn't going to work. We have to go and get the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, it was hanging on by a thread in the first place. So I was going to have to get the surgery anyways, and they were just like, might as well keep pitching and see where it goes.
Is that? I mean, that's got to be so much harder to pitch though when you have like that in the back, not just like the pain from it, but just like in the back of your head, like, oh my God, is this going to be the pitch that it
yeah,
happens
it's a tough thought in the back of your mind whenever you're throwing a baseball, and every pitch you're like, this could be my last one until I have to get a new elbow. So it's definitely tough, but just like everything, you got to get through it and see what happens on the other side.
Yeah, and you've had a few years to rehab it now. I mean, how does it feel by comparison? I guess, are you throwing harder? Do you feel any different?
I wouldn't say throwing harder, but definitely feeling different. The command was the last thing to come back. Still working on that a little bit. But yeah, the ball just feels different in the hand, the arm swing, everything about the throwing motion. You have to relearn it. So definitely a different feeling.
I'm gonna switch lanes here because I know Tommy John stuff probably is not fun to talk about for you, but I noticed something this year when I was hanging out in Worcester, and Richard Fitz was up there, a fellow Auburn man, and I remember talking to him at one point because we also friend of the show, Davis Daniel, another Auburn guy. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, you guys are freaking everywhere. Like there are Auburn pitchers all
a lot of
over
Auburn
the place.
Tigers out there. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just like, well, especially pitchers though. Like I feel like year after year after year, I'm seeing like, oh yeah, that's another Auburn arm. Oh yeah, that guy Auburn arm. So what was it about Auburn that just was why? how are they turning out so many pitchers? And I guess, like, what was special about that place to develop so many guys that are reaching the pros?
I mean, I think the simple answer is Butch Thompson, the head coach. He was the first guy that I talked to from there, but he has a history with pitchers and doing well with pitchers. But along with that, it's the rest of the staff. I mean, whenever I was there, it was Tim Hudson was our pitching coach, which was pretty cool to pick his brain about pitch grips or or whatever the metrics are. And really all the assistants and the trainers too. I mean, they do a really good job there of development and getting the best guys for their job.
Yeah, because I'm an SEC. I'm SEC biased. I'm a Mizzou guy. Rather, I know you guys might not. Okay, that's fair. I know a lot of true SEC guys are like Mizzou still not in it, but I appreciate that. But I always feel like, for going to an SEC school and just having that competition for players like at Auburn, like you guys are going through gauntlets every single year in SEC play. You're playing Vanderbilts, you're playing Georgia's, you're playing all the top, now Texas and Texas A&M. You guys are playing the top competition. And I always feel like, the pitchers run through so many good players, like they're facing so many good guys that are going to the pros. Do you think that helps at all too? Like just with the level of competition that, you experience while in SEC play?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps. What Butch Thompson used to say is SEC baseball is like AA baseball. I don't know if I really believe that the way the game's moved. High A baseball and low A baseball, both you can get caught throwing the wrong pitch. But yes, the competition helps for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about that because I think I've heard people say that. They're like, oh, if you we're playing in the SEC, like that was equivalent to like high A or whatever.
There's good hitters everywhere.
Oh yeah.
You can find that out real quick. You throw the wrong pitch in the wrong spot and it's over the fence no matter where you are.
So I just looked at something earlier before you hopped in, and I got to ask you. I want to know if you're tired right now. And I ask you that because you threw 89 innings this year. That's more innings than you throw combined since back to 2020 at Auburn. Yep. So how do you feel right now after that year?
I feel good. I feel healthy. Arm needed a break a little bit after the season. Gave myself a week or two off, and then right back to it.
And it didn't seem like you really, at least this year in Greenville, you've always been a guy, I think, just even in the small sample size of like 2023 and even 20, and it's even in college. So it's like you've always been a guy that's had a lot of swing and miss in your game. Like you've always been able to miss bats. And I'm curious, has that been something that you've always worked on and you've always had in your belt? Like, is that something that you've had for a while now, or is that like, I guess, do you pride yourself on that?
Not really. I haven't really ever worked on like trying to develop more swing and miss or trying to get more chase out of any particular pitch. It's always been get it in the zone. And that's what we're preaching here is throw everything through the heart of the zone, but have it move wherever it moves. So yeah, that's been the focus, but never really trying to create swing and miss, just let the swing and miss create itself.
So I'm looking at your arsenal right now, and it looks like you throw a fastball, slider, changeup, and cutter. Is that accurate?
Yeah, the cutter's more of like a depthy slider, and then the true slider's like a sweeper.
Gotcha. It feels like everybody in the system is throwing
sweepers
a sweeper
everywhere
right now.
Everywhere.
Yeah, sweepers, splitters, cutters everywhere.
What's your favorite pitch to throw?
Fastball.
It looks like you got a pretty damn good fastball here. Just reading the scouting report here.
Yeah, no, I would say just because I feel like I am more confident in that than anything else in the zone. Whether it's cutter, sweeper, it's harder to get in the zone, whether it moves a lot or not, or whatever it is. But fastball's always been there.
Yeah. Now, something I've heard about you is that you're a starter right now, but there are a lot of scouts that think you would be just a nasty relief pitcher. And I'm just curious.
I don't know about nasty.
Yeah. I'm just curious though. Do you think about that? Like when you're like, I guess just like even like what the scouts are saying about you, how you profile as one thing or another. Like how does that affect you? And is it something that you even think about?
I don't really think about it, but as anybody can see that watches me pitch or throw a bullpen or train, I'm not the biggest guy. 6 foot right now, like 185 in season, around 190, 195. Just not the biggest guy. It's hard to withhold velocity for 6, 7, 8 innings at a time. So I think in the pen later, whether that's this upcoming year or down the road, but eventually.
I also I wanted to piggyback. I had asked you a little bit about if you were tired after the long season. So you threw 89 innings this year, and you did it all in Greenville. What were some things that you kind of learned about yourself as you're now, you were transitioning back to being fully healthy? Like, what kind of things did you learn about yourself? Did you have any, did you learn any new characteristics, I guess, while you were like coming back from the rehab process? And what were your takeaways from this year?
Honestly, the zone seemed like it got a little smaller. I think that was the first thing I noticed coming back. And these umpires, they do a good job. But compared to a college umpire, you're not going to get a couple inches, half a ball off the black, it's going to be right here and right here. So it's definitely tough making that transition to throwing everything in a smaller box and expecting hitters to still miss. And guys don't chase as much. So those were the two things that, small zone and less chase, it's tough. You really got to attack hitters.
How is Greenville? I've heard really wonderful things about that stadium, but I also know not quite as big as Salem. Like how did you like living there, and how did you like pitching there?
Living there was awesome. Our setup, it was right down the street, coffee shop in between the field and our apartments. Everything's walkable. It's real nice. Anybody that I've ever talked to that's come through Greenville, they said they loved it, and I can see why, because the fans, the stadium, it was awesome.
Do you think you got lucky avoiding Salem?
I pitched down there for 2-3 weeks in 23. I think I had my time there. To put it nicely, yeah. No, they've done a lot down there though. This season, all the guys that were down there said it was way better.
Yeah, it's just so funny too, because obviously, like, Salem is honestly in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's like, for a guy that's grew up in California or whatever, and they like go to Salem, Virginia, there's like, it's not like there's not like a nightlife there as much. It's kind of like,
it's a little change of pace,
a little quieter town, and like Greenville's like, Clemson's right down the road. You got like, it's a good nightlife, walkable city, like you said. I think Greenville is a very underrated city in the United States.
Oh, it's awesome. Yep. Actually, they got hit by that hurricane a couple weeks ago, so a little bit of damage, but I think everything's good.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Have you been up north at all? Have you been to like Maine or Massachusetts or anything like that?
Not once in my life. I've never visited the Northeast.
Oh,
yeah.
So Portland, whenever you eventually get assigned to AA, will be your first time.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything north of Kentucky, yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, wow.
Grew up in the Southeast, lived my life in the Southeast, traveled out west a couple times, but yeah, nothing Northeast.
What kind of things are you looking forward to once you eventually do get to the Northeast?
The food for sure. Yeah, a lot of good food up there. Yeah. And I don't know if you ask any of these guys, but I eat a lot. So, yeah, definitely the food and just the atmosphere, being around true sports fans up in Portland, Boston, wherever it is, Northeast, they know how to handle a team.
It's intense. That's the best way that I can describe. New Englanders are very intense, and that's a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. And I feel like that's like anywhere else. But I lived in Arizona for a bit, and that was the biggest surprise for me. Was like, wow, you mean people aren't always this on edge? Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a good time though. I've seen how Philly and Boston and Patriots fans act, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, growing up, I grew up in St. Louis, and obviously, like they're pretty good Cardinal fans, I would say. I think the Cardinals are very well supported, but man, it is nothing like New England. I just have one ask for you though. When you do get to Portland, please don't take any food advice from Connolly, because he just broke news that he's not a seafood guy.
Yeah, you don't need any seafood.
That's crazy. You guys are in Florida right now too, where it's like you can get like fantastic fish.
Every time we go get sushi or something, he's always ordering like hibachi steak.
That's a perfectly fine substitute.
Yeah, I mean it's fine, but yeah, he will not touch seafood.
Okay, as long as you just got to try the lobster rolls in Maine. Hey, you just have to. Okay,
Connecticut style or Maine style?
Oh, okay, so you do know a little bit.
I love food. Yeah.
Okay. Which one do you think you'd like better, warm or cold?
From what I've had, which is not true Maine lobster, the Connecticut style, but up there it could be different. You never know.
I'd say just try both. You know, you'll be on the road. You're playing. If you're in Portland, you'll be playing in Hartford at some point.
Hartford, Connecticut.
Get the Connecticut when you're in Connecticut, and get the Maine when you're in Maine.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. All right. I know I'm going to lose that on this little. It's not really segment, but this portion, this question here. But I've heard a lot of things about your golf game. Actually, over the last year, having this podcast, you know, it seems like every single pitcher in the system is a golfer. I see your clubs right behind you.
Oh yeah, not by design.
Okay, so I mean, I know you're a golfer, and I mistakenly said Connolly was a good golfer, but he said he went golfing a lot. He said he wasn't good, but I've heard a lot of people hype up your game a little bit. Is that something that you kind of have you always been a golfer? Have you golfed your whole life?
No, so I actually got into it over COVID. I golfed a little bit in high school, but just here and there. And then COVID hit, and there was nothing to do outside, so might as well go out and get my steps in at least. But yeah, no, I love golf. Not very good. Some people like Connolly might say better than most, but no, Hunt's the good golfer in the group. He's like a 8, maybe 9 handicap. He's a real solid golfer.
Oh, I mean,
catch up to him.
Being 6'7" probably helps with the driver.
He hits the ball a long ways.
Oh,
I've seen him hit drives 330, 340,
just
on the fly. Yeah, he hits the crap out of it.
That is incredible.
And surprisingly, he putts pretty well for being a tall guy. I mean, he gets down there with it. If he ever tells you about his putting stance, he gets all the way down there. He's fully bent over, and it's pretty fun to watch.
I'm just picturing like a taller version of Keegan Bradley, just completely bent over it. All right. I'm going to have to ask him about that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, I kind of already, like, you kind of already answered this question, but what do you, I'm going to actually just say, when you're not golfing, when you had an off day and it's not a day to go to the course, what are you doing in your free time?
I've been on a big PS5 kick lately. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty when it came out. This is actually the most I've played of a Call of Duty game, I think. And then when college football came out, that's actually when I got the PS5 just to play that game, because I've played every NCAA from 2003 on the PS2 to 2014 on the Xbox 360. I've played every single one. So yeah, once that came out, I was like, I got to play it, got to try it, and fell in love with it and played it for, I think I have 30 something hours on it, 50 something hours. And then Call of Duty came out and all these guys were playing it, so I had to join.
What was the first video game that you really fell in love with?
The NCAA 03. I still remember it. We had it on the PS2, and it was my dad's game. And him and my uncle would always run like dynasties and stuff and come over and play. And I just started playing it a little bit. Always played my dad. He never let me win. So got better, tried to get better. And then whenever the new games came out, when it was 2012, 2013, he didn't understand the mechanics of the controller and everything. So got to whoop up on him pretty hard. And he would get mad and he'd slam the controller or something. 03, it was a solid game. If you looked at the graphics, you would not think that it was as smooth as it was, but back in the day, that was a smooth game. The jukes were real nice. You used the 2 triggers instead of the stick. It wasn't the precision stuff. You just did whatever you could. And it was a lot of fun.
I always miss like the old Maddens too, because I was a big Madden guy, like growing up. I think one of my first games was like Madden 05 or 06 or something. And the juking
Michael
and all
Vick
that.
Cover, right?
Or was it Vince Young?
Vince Young was 2010 or
Oh,
08, one or the
gosh.
other. Yeah.
All right, sorry. Vince Young seems like a lifetime ago, so I thought it was probably him, but yeah, it may
You're
have
talking
been
to a
today.
true Titans fan. Anytime anybody's on anything, yeah.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Him and Chris Johnson, those were our two big players in the early
I was
2000s.
about to say you would have been like the right age for when Chris Johnson
yep.
was just an absolute machine.
Yeah, I probably went to 20, 25 NFL games before I ever went to a college game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because, I mean, we didn't – other than Vandy, we didn't really have a college team in town, and Vanderbilt's basically watching high school football. So it's we would go to Tennessee games every now and then, but, yeah, mostly Titans games.
They got a good baseball team, though, Vandy.
Yeah, no, you're telling me. Yeah, pitched against them, I think only once in my college career, but yeah, they've always had a good team. Growing up watching them, it was cool too. Get to see guys like Dansby and guys like that perform, Walker Buehler.
Is that daunting for you at all? Like as a pitcher, just like when you know that the team that you're about to go up against is just super hyped up. Like, do you find that to be intimidating, and then you have to put more work into it, or is it just business as usual?
No, I think it actually brings a little bit of adrenaline. Like whenever we faced them my junior year, I want to say they might have been top 10, top 20 whenever they were coming in. Same with Ole Miss. So whenever you play a team like that that's really good and performing really well at the time, it's really fun because you get to see what they're made of. You get to get their best. You get to see their pitching, their hitting, and how that's going to play in the postseason. So it's always nice going up against them in the regular season. Now the postseason is a different story because in the postseason they're just dogs. I mean, anytime they make it to a regional or super, I feel like they're hosting the next one.
You know, speaking of Vanderbilt and Nashville in general, you've probably heard and seen by now that Major League Baseball is looking at expanding and possibly looking at Nashville as being an option. I'm not sure of where that is in the process by now, but how cool would that be to just see a MLB team pop up down there where you're from?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. They've been in talks, I want to say, basically my whole life, but probably since I started watching baseball, so like 8 years old. Ever since that time, they've been talking about adding a team to Nashville. I think Nashville, Montreal, and Charleston or Charlotte are one of the other ones that they're talking about. But yeah, they've been talking about it for a long time. We've had our AAA team since I can remember. Has gone in and out from Oakland to Milwaukee to the Rangers for a little bit. But yeah, it's a really nice stadium. I think when they built it, the new stadium, that they built it for expansion. So whenever there is a team, if there is a team, they'll have enough room and the Nashville fans will support it.
Something that amazes me about Nashville is that you can go anywhere, including like the airport bar, and you're going to hear
country
some
music.
of the best musicians
Yep.
that you're ever going to hear. Like I did a trip with my dad to San Antonio, and that's where we had like a layover in Nashville, and we ended up getting, there was like a delay, and we ended up being at the bar there for probably an extra 2 or 3 hours, and we just heard all of these really, really talented musicians, which that's got to be really cool. Just being around that all the time. Is there what type of music do you like? Is there anything in particular?
Kind of all over the place. Mostly country. That's probably my top listen to. But yeah, anywhere you go in Nashville, you're gonna find a good band with a good lead singer that's gonna play all the covers that you know and love in country, and it's gonna be good. One of my buddies actually that I played basketball with growing up, he's trying to make it as a singer-songwriter in Nashville right now. And watching his whole journey of playing in bars and signing with a studio and all that stuff, it's pretty cool to watch.
Oh wow, he was able to sign with someone.
Yeah, he actually just came out with an album. I don't know what the album's called, but Connor McCutcheon, if you want to look him up later.
Connor McCutcheon.
He's on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down so I can look it up after this.
It is kind of wild though to think about that, because I know Nick Sogard in the system, his sister is like, trying to make it in Nashville right now, and she's got like albums coming out and stuff like that. And it's always so fascinating to like hear about like, it's the the smaller musicians. It just takes one or a couple breaks, and it's like, okay, like this person, they just got exposed to this, and it's like kind of cool how like you hear about like Luke Combs started from nowhere, and all these guys, they were just like so small, and it's like now look at them. It is kind of cool to think about that.
Yeah, it's really cool, and especially when you grow up in Nashville, going to wherever, maybe it's a restaurant or sporting event or whatever it is that people are playing that you may not know the name at that time, but then 10 years down the road, you were listening to the next Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs, whoever it was.
I asked this question to Shea Sprague, one of the new draft guys down at the complex.
Another lefty.
But, yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. Like every lefty.
Every left-hander in the Boston Red Sox organization.
Yeah, I didn't realize it at the time, but I asked him this question, and it's kind of a trick question. But obviously, with you being an Auburn guy, I'm assuming you're a big Auburn football guy. And so he was obviously a UNC guy, and there are rivals Duke. So like UNC Duke basketball game is probably on my bucket list. I wanted to ask you the Iron Bowl. I know Alabama is usually better than Auburn. Let's just face it, at football
in recent years.
Yes, but Auburn still finds a way to keep those games close, and it's always a very entertaining game. The Iron Bowl. How cool, have you ever been to an Iron Bowl, and how cool is it? I guess on campus when that is going on.
So when it's on campus, you can't go anywhere, do anything. Ubers are $50 to go 3 miles. Like, it gets crazy down there, especially when we rush the field. I've been a part of 2 Iron Bowls that we won at home. One was actually, I was in high school on a recruiting visit. And
oh my God.
that was my dream, was go to an Iron Bowl. Like, if I'm going to visit the school, I want to go to an Iron Bowl. That's the South's rivalry. So go to it, obviously thinking they're going to lose. And for some reason, Auburn finds a way to keep it close, and they end up winning, and everybody rushes the field, rolled tumors for the first time. So, yeah, it's a good time whenever Auburn beats Alabama.
Yeah, I was going to say, really. It's crazy because, like, they, even the down years, like, I guarantee when their game's coming up, the Iron Bowl's coming up soon, I think.
Mm-hmm. Last game of the regular season should be.
Yeah, it's sneaking up on us. I know that college football is already almost gone. So, but, Auburn's down this year, lost a big game to Missouri. I mean, it's fine, but it's I bet you they're still going to compete in that game. Like, I don't think they're going to get rolled over. It's just like, I don't know. Auburn always does it, even if they have like a way less team. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, on paper you're looking at it and they don't stand a chance, but they always find a way. So we'll see. It's the atmosphere that gets it. But I think it's in Tuscaloosa this year.
Yeah.
So it could be a rough one.
Yeah, that's fair. I joke with that sometimes, but like I said it whenever we had Connolly on it. This is a part food podcast, so we would be doing any justice if we didn't ask you some food questions. And you're a man of the South, a man of Tennessee, and I put my trust in you on this question. You are going to get some lunch, and you're going to go to a fast food fried chicken place, and you have every option in America available for your choice right in front of you. Where are you picking?
Cane's for sure. Outside of Chick-fil-A, like, let's say if it's national, Chick-fil-A, because Cane's isn't everywhere. But if they have a Cane's.
How so fast with Cane's?
Yeah, no, it's not a question. It's those top 2.
Yeah.
I'm a Chick-fil-A guy, so this is great.
Yeah.
Have you tried Zaxby's?
I love Zaxby's, but I think Cane's sauce is definitely better, and their chicken tenders are about the same to me, and the toast is better. And then Chick-fil-A, they don't do anything wrong. They do everything so well.
I'm obsessed with the Polynesian sauce there.
I'm a big Chick-fil-A sauce
I bought
guy.
that at the store.
Oh, really? The big bottle?
Yeah.
We get the Chick-fil-A sauce because you can put it on anything.
Yep. We'll get, especially if we're gonna have people over. You get one of each. Everyone's happy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
So
I'd say those are my top 2 for sure.
Now, do you've talked a lot about how much you like to eat. Do you like to cook though?
I cooked a lot like sophomore, junior year of college, and then whenever I got into pro ball, it's just a lot of travel and stuff, and I don't cook near as much. Like, we cooked whenever we first got down here a little bit, but then kind of tapers off as you stay longer.
Is there anything that that you're very good at cooking though?
Not particularly. Kind of everything decent on a grill. Any type of meat, I feel like I could probably cook in some form or fashion. I cook really good breakfast, so that's good. Bacon, eggs, biscuits, and gravy. Those are my top ones that I'd probably go to. Not a like pancake or waffle guy. Don't really fix all that because either don't have the waffle iron or the griddle or whatever it is.
Too many steps, too much cleanup.
Yeah, just way too much for me. I like to get in and out. Eggs, bacon, real easy to make. Get in, get out, you're done.
So if you said you're a big food guy, if I asked you what your Mount Rushmore of food chains was, what would you give me? Your top 4?
Food chains, like sit down or fast food? What are we talking?
It can be both.
Oof.
I know that makes it a little
That's a
tougher.
good question. No, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. If it's sit down, like chain, let's go chain restaurants. We'll do chain. Yeah, like sit down chain restaurants. Probably
Oh, yeah.
Outback, Chili's. Love Chili's. Carrabba's isn't too bad.
Ooh,
And
okay.
then I really like Mission Barbecue, but that's not really a sit down. I don't know if you all have had Mission
I don't
Barbecue.
think I've ever had that. What is
I don't think I
that?
have either.
It's just a chain barbecue. A lot of their proceeds go to military and service members and stuff like that. And my brother-in-law's a Green Beret, so it's always nice to support.
Wow,
Yeah,
that was all
I'd
cool.
probably say that.
Yeah. One thing we don't do well in the Northeast is barbecue, unfortunately.
It's okay. Y'all got the pizza.
That is true.
Sure.
That is very true. I can't think of Outback Steakhouse the same after our favorite Australian Adam Bates saying they lied about shrimp.
What'd they lie about?
They don't call them shrimp in Australia. They call them prawns.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So we had Adam
Yeah,
Bates
no,
on, and I asked him, I'm like, how'd you like he went to Outback, I guess, down in Fort Myers, and he was just like, yeah, he's like, I got in an argument because I said, the guy said, you want shrimp on the Barbie or something, and Adam's like, we don't say that in Australia, we say prawns.
So I guess they don't say bloomin' onion either, but I'll still
yeah. It's all
Call it
good.
whatever you want. It's still a blooming onion.
Still a bloomin' onion.
Yeah. But I do say a funny takeaway. Adam Bates' favorite chain, an Australian's favorite chain in the United States, is Texas Roadhouse. He really enjoyed himself.
I like a good Texas Roadhouse. Got to get the rolls, but love Texas Roadhouse.
All right, I got one food question left, and Ed, we'll start rounding it together here. I'm curious your answer on this because you kind of dipped into the sauces earlier, and Matt Duffy gave me some very interesting sauces when I asked him this question. So hopefully you redeem yourself for the sake of the apartment.
For the house.
Yes. All right. So you got 3 of your fingers, and all 3 of those fingers are going to be filled with a sauce. So you get 3 different sauces for the rest of your life. You can't ever get anything else. And those are the only 3 for the rest of your life. What 3 sauces are you going to use?
We actually talked about this the other day. Funny that you ask. We talked about, no, not that specific scenario, but we talked about like what our favorite sauces were and like what we would eat on anything. Some type of mustard, whether it's honey mustard, yellow mustard, spicy brown, whatever it is, some type of mustard, probably hot sauce, Louisiana or Crystal. I don't really do the Tabasco. I like Frank's, but it's kind of milder. And then the third sauce, that's tough. I'd probably have to go something like a sweet chili or like an obscure sauce that not many people think about, because whenever you get some type of random dish, like you're gonna have to spice it up a little bit. So
you like spicy food is my takeaway.
I like spicy. I like spice a good bit. I'm not gonna eat something where it's spicy and doesn't really have taste. But yeah, like jalapenos, stuff like that, I'll eat.
Okay. I cannot do any spicy stuff, and I blame it. I think it's like a redhead thing, but I don't know. Me and Hunter Dobbins had this talk. Yeah, me and Hunter Dobbins had this talk, and I think I talked about it with Brandon Walter too. Like it was like one of those things. It's like both of them didn't like it. I don't like it. I think it's a red hair thing, but
I don't know if you've talked to Dobbins about his palate, but not the most refined of the baseball players that you'll meet. I don't know if you could see his whole shirt that he was wearing during the podcast, but I'm sure it was his Big Deborah sweatshirt. It's a Little Debbie picture, but she's blown up to like way out of proportion, and it says Big Deborah on it, and that's one of his favorite sweatshirts. And I was with him when he was thinking about buying it. He was like, should I get this? Yeah, for sure.
I've only seen the Dr. Pepper stuff, but I
Oh,
haven't seen.
he's a big Dr. Pepper fan. But yeah, Big Deborah. He loves Little Debbie cakes. Just ask him about it. 2 Dr. Peppers and a Big Deborah. That's all he needs. And
Man,
then
I
he'll
never
go
knew
out there
about
and give you 7.
I never knew about that. The Little Debbie stuff.
The legend of Hunter Dobbins grows today.
It will continue to grow. You'll find something new about him every time you talk to him.
That's incredible.
I'm actually living with him in spring training, so I'll get him on again. Tell him to talk about his Big Deborah sweatshirt.
Well, we're having him on in a couple weeks. We're waiting until he gets added to the 40. So
yeah,
because that's
got to be coming soon, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
gotta
Rule
hope so.
5,
Gotta think so. Like they're losing him if he's going to another team.
He'll be on a 40-man regardless.
He'll be on a 25-man and 26-man, whatever it is now. Pitching for another team if he doesn't get 40-man, unfortunately.
Yep, but yeah, we're gonna definitely ask him about Big Deborah.
Oh yeah, Big Deborah.
All right, Ed, what are you bringing us home here? What you got? Any closing thoughts here?
I'm just gonna ask you because I always ask this, at least this season. Did you grow up with any pets? Do you have any pets?
No pets. My mom does not like dogs or cats or anything like that. So grew up with no pets. I actually did have a fish once. Rest in peace. He did not make it more than 2 weeks because whenever I cleaned out the tank, I left like soapy residue and stuff in there. Put water back in the tank, went off for a little bit, came back, and he's floating. And that was the last pet I ever had. So yeah, working on a dog. Should be in the next year or so. I should be getting a dog. And yeah, gonna treat him like he's my best friend. Yeah, excited.
Yeah, I didn't have any pets growing up either. I got my first dog when I was like 25, and
it's the best.
I don't know what I'd be able to do.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'd be doing without it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, from what I hear, first pets, it's gonna be your child. You're gonna look after them. You're gonna baby them, pamper them, all that stuff.
What kind of dog are you?
I've been looking a lot of like lab retriever mixes. Nothing too small. Some type of medium size, like hypoallergenic would be nice. Shedding, dealing with that with travel is a lot to have to clean up after them. But no, something like that. I looked at like Aussie mixes, lab mixes, and what was the other one? Bernese Mountain Dog, but I think the Doodle mix. Yeah, I think the Poodle mix. So it makes it a little smaller and all the no shedding and everything.
And they're so sweet too. Like they have just such like a sweet.
Great.
Our upstairs neighbor has one that I have a very little dog, and that dog thinks that it's a lap dog. It is gigantic and just always wants to like kind of hop on you, and it's a little too big to be doing that. But yeah, no, they're really sweet natured.
Yeah, because that's the other thing that people don't realize with like dogs and baseball players especially, but I'm guessing for other athletes, is the travel. You have to find the right temperament of dog because when you're not home or anything, you don't want them to have to be missing you and someone have to go take them out and stuff like that. So a dog that doesn't require a ton of physical activity is probably ideal for as much as we travel. Anything like a pointer or GSP or something like that is going to be a lot more active, and whenever you're gone, it's going to be a lot tougher, probably tear up stuff and things like that.
Yeah, because it's not like you can take them on the road with you or anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Actually, you were talking about Fitz earlier. He and his wife just got a new dog, I think this offseason, and his name's Milo, if you didn't talk about
Milo.
That. Yeah, you'll have to ask him, because I haven't met Milo either, but we lived together in college, and I knew his other dog, Bella, and I mean, the way he is around dogs, it's awesome. He is the best dog owner you'll ever see, and I'm sure you could gather that from how he is. But yeah,
he just seems like such a he seems like such a, I don't even know like the word,
goofball.
Like he's just goofball. Like always smiling. Like it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting. He's
he's
like,
awesome.
Yeah, he's a good
Talk
dude.
about someone that you think's a lap dog and isn't. That's 6'5", 200, probably 40-pound now. Richard Fitz. Just a big goofball.
Oh yeah.
People call him a bulldog, and he's actually a lapdog.
Yeah, I mean but no, he's awesome, man. I got to know him real well when we lived together, and he got me through some tough times, and you know how baseball goes, just all of that. So he's awesome, and he actually dealt with some stuff that year too. So we bounced stuff off each other, and we're real close now. I was actually in his wedding in 22 November. Yeah.
Oh,
after I got drafted.
That must have been really cool for you then when he got traded to the Red Sox last year, because you were already here.
I don't know if I was one of the first to call him because I didn't find the news out until like a couple hours later. But whenever I got that text, he was immediately on ring. And thankfully he answered. I was in like a Wendy's parking lot or something, just grabbing a snack. And I tell him to hold on for a second because I start screaming through the phone. I'm excited, man. That's my brother. No, he's awesome. His wife's awesome. His family's awesome. So getting him, it's a quality guy, and hopefully he stays up there with them this year.
Looked really good in September.
Very good, yeah. Those were actually, I think that was the most baseball I watched all year outside of live in Greenville was him on TV.
Oh, that is awesome. I mean, like I said earlier, it's like the Auburn guys, man. It's I mean, even Bailey Horn was awesome when in Worcester.
Played with Bailey for a year.
Yeah,
but yeah, all these guys, you got to root for them. Small community, Auburn family.
Oh yeah. Well, Hayden, we appreciate all the time you gave us, man. I feel like I could be on here for another like half hour. But we'll definitely let you get on with your night, but we appreciate you hopping on and joining us. And we're obviously looking forward to you going into healthy spring training in February, and then obviously your 2025 season. But thank you so much for hopping on.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you for having me. If you do talk to Dobbins soon, tell him Hayden says hi because he never returns my texts. But thank y'all for having me. It's been a blast.